What if the good things in your life aren't missing? You just haven't noticed them. Today, we're going to explore how where you place your attention shapes your experience of life. And stick around to the end of this episode. I'll share a simple daily practice that can help you begin noticing more of the good that's already present, even on days that don't feel especially good.
Welcome to the Live Right Now podcast with me, Allan. This is where mindfulness meets everyday life. Thanks for joining me for this reflection on living with intention. Let's talk about how we can live right now.
Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Allan, and welcome to the Live Right Now podcast. There's a thought that I've seen going around social media lately. The amount of good things in your life depends on your ability to notice them. Well, most of us aren't lacking good things. It's easy to overlook what's around us. Our attention is often in our own heads, replaying conversations, worrying about the future, or comparing ourselves to others. And at the same time, much of our attention is glued to screens, social media, news, notifications. Hours can disappear in a scroll, and we leave the day having noticed very little of the real world around us. Social media, in particular, can be a time suck. It thrives on the glamorous, the highlights of others' lives, the curated, polished moments. And if we're not careful, this comparison can quietly shape how we feel about ourselves. We start measuring our blooper reel against someone else's highlights. Theodore Roosevelt once said, "Comparison is the thief of joy." And that's exactly what happens when our attention is pulled outwards towards curated images rather than towards what's actually present. What we're often lacking is space to slow down, space to register what's happening around us. We move quickly from one moment to the next, and in that rush, a lot of what's good simply passes by unnoticed. We've been conditioned by stress, by media, by comparison to scan for problems. Our minds are very good at noticing what's wrong, what's missing, or what still needs to be fixed. That skill is useful, but when it becomes our default setting, it can quietly shape how we experience our lives. The good news is that our brains can be retrained. Noticing is a skill. The more we practice, the easier it becomes to see the good that's already in front of us. This idea is very much in line with what the Stoics taught thousands of years ago. Philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus emphasized that the quality of life depends on where you place your attention. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can control how you perceive it. They taught that when we direct our focus intentionally, we begin to see opportunities, support, and goodness that would otherwise pass by unnoticed. In more recent times, writers like Ryan Holiday have helped shape my own understanding of these principles. His work shows how Stoic ideas can be applied and practiced today. He reminds us that awareness, reflection, and intentional focus are tools that we can use daily, not just concepts to admire from a distance. For me, his work has reinforced that noticing the good isn't passive, it's active. It requires consistent practice and mindful attention, or what you may have heard called mindfulness. When people hear the word mindfulness, they sometimes imagine sitting quietly, feeling calm, or trying to empty the mind. But mindfulness at its core is much simpler than that. Mindfulness is paying attention to what's actually happening instead of living on autopilot. It's noticing how you're feeling, what's around you, what's unfolding in the present moment, without immediately judging it or rushing past it. If your mind is trained to look for problems, it will always find them. There is no shortage of things to worry about or fix, but if your mind is trained to notice what's steady, kind, or supportive, those things begin to take up more space in your awareness. Over time, what you notice starts to shape what feels real. The Stoics lived in a world that was uncertain and often harsh. They dealt with loss, illness, political instability, and personal hardship just like we do today. Their philosophy wasn't about denying those realities. It was about learning how to meet them with clarity. They believed that you have influence over how you experience events, and that influence begins with awareness. What you notice, what you dwell on, and what you allow to pass without consuming you. In modern language, that's mindfulness. Seeing reality clearly, including what's difficult, without overlooking what's steady and supportive at the same time. I've seen in my own life that when I'm moving too fast, I miss a lot. I focus on what still needs to be done or what didn't go as planned. And when I'm in that mode, even good days can feel heavy. But when I slow down and intentionally notice, really notice what's happening, something shifts, not dramatically and not all at once, but the tone of the day changes. The challenges don't disappear. What changes is my relationship to them. There's more balance, more perspective, more room to breathe. So, how do we cultivate a mindful awareness in our lives? One simple, actionable way is through a daily journaling practice. Each day, write down 3 good things that you noticed or are grateful for. They don't need to be big. In fact, small observations often matter most. A warm cup of coffee, a smile from a stranger, a quiet moment to breathe. What's important is that you register it, that you give it your attention, because, as Judge Taylor said in To Kill a Mockingbird, people generally see what they look for and hear what they listen for. At first, this may feel awkward. Some days you may struggle to identify 3 things. That's okay, that's normal. It doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It means your attention is being retrained. Over time, you'll start to notice more without thinking about it. You'll begin to see the subtle, good moments that have always been around you, but went unnoticed before because your attention was elsewhere. This practice also helps counter the negative pull of screens and comparison. When you take time to notice what's real, immediate, and present, your perspective begins to shift. The small, everyday goodness becomes more apparent. You're not denying challenges or pretending everything is perfect. You're simply widening your lens to include what's positive alongside what's difficult. Incorporating mindfulness into this process strengthens it further. Mindfulness is about paying attention, intentionally noticing both your inner state and the world around you. It's about stepping out of autopilot, being present in the little things, the colors in the sky, the sounds of the neighborhood, the rhythm of your own breath. The more you notice, the more the good things in life appear. And the more you allow yourself to notice, the less comparison and distraction dominate your attention. Another way to practice is by intentionally looking outside yourself. Instead of letting your attention be consumed by thoughts and worries, scrolling feeds, take a moment to observe your surroundings and engage with others. Watch how a tree sways in the wind. Listen to the laughter of children playing nearby. Hold eye contact with someone you encounter. These small acts of outward attention train your brain to see more of what's already there and not just what's missing or what someone else has that you don't. It's important to note that these exercises are not quick fixes. They're habits. The mind will naturally drift towards what's urgent, dramatic, or negative. Social media, notifications, and our own internal chatter constantly vie for attention. That's why consistent practice is key. Some days the good things will feel small. On hard days, they might feel almost insignificant. That's okay. This practice isn't about ranking your life or convincing yourself that everything is fine. It's about honesty. It's about noticing what's actually there, even when life feels complicated. Journaling, mindfulness, and outward observation are like strength training for attention. The more you do it, the stronger your noticing muscles become. Sometimes the good thing is simply that you got through the day. Sometimes it's a moment of quiet. Sometimes it's realizing you handled something better than you would have before. Small still counts. You'll find that when you notice more, you experience more. Gratitude grows naturally. Appreciation for small moments increases. Even challenges can feel less overwhelming because you're no longer living entirely in a space of scarcity or comparison. Instead, you're anchored in awareness of what's actually present. When you practice noticing, you don't suddenly get a better life. You get a clearer one. And often, that clarity reveals more support, steadiness, and goodness than you expected. Here's an example. Imagine a morning routine where you pause before leaving the house. You notice the sunlight on your kitchen counter. You feel the warmth of your coffee mug. You hear the quiet hum of the morning. You write down these moments as your 3 good things. Suddenly, the day doesn't start with rush and stress. It starts with awareness. And that awareness sets the tone for everything that follows. Over time, this practice compounds. Your attention naturally shifts to noticing supportive interactions, moments of kindness, or personal achievements. You begin to find joy in ordinary experiences. And the more you notice, the less you rely on external validation or comparisons to feel content. This is not theoretical, it's practical, it's actionable. You don't have to change your life overnight. You simply have to start noticing. 3 small things each day, journaling them, reflecting on them, and then letting yourself be present for what the next day brings. I hope you'll give this practice a chance this week. Each day, write down 3 good things that you noticed. Don't overthink it. Just notice and see what begins to change, not around you, but within you. The good things are there. You just need to learn how to see them. By noticing what's around you and practicing gratitude daily, you start to reclaim your attention, your perspective, and your peace. Until next time, make the most of every moment, and remember to live right now.
Thanks for being part of Live Right Now. If you like what you've heard, I encourage you to like and follow the podcast on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform, and share it with someone who could use a little inspiration today. Join the conversation on our Facebook page or email me your thoughts at the address in the show notes. I'm Allan Haw. Until next time, make the most of every moment and remember to live right now.